For more now, we're joined by Nebraska Republican Congressman Mike Flood. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. We learned late today the DHS has sent a report on the shooting to Congress. At no point in that report does it say Preddy attempted to reach for his weapon. Of course, we also just heard from a childhood friend of his describing him in a totally different way from DHS Chief Kristi Noem, who called him a domestic terrorist right after the shooting and said that he brandished a gun. No video have we seen shows him brandishing a gun. How would you say that she's handled this case?
Well, here's what I do when I'm representing the people of Nebraska and something like this happens. I take my time to understand the facts and I urge calm. We need an investigation here. We need an independent investigation. We need to get to the facts. And then we're a nation of laws. We have to apply those laws to the facts and let this investigation go where it's going to go. This could be justified. There could be issues with it. We simply don't know. And I just think, especially in a situation where you have so much emotion and so many people involved, one of the things we fail to talk about, and I just saw your interview with the St. Paul mayor, she said, we don't interact with ICE. How do you expect things to work if a state and a city government refuse to help a federal agency enforce the laws that members of Congress from all states have enacted? That is a recipe for disaster. And so, well, everybody in Minnesota that's maybe on that side of the line wants to say, Donald Trump this, ICE that. If you don't even allow your police to help federal agents enforce the law, this doesn't work. This stuff happens. So I really get frustrated when I hear that.
Sure. I don't know, though, that she was saying that she is not allowing them to. It's just that it's not happening. For example, we here at ABC News reached out to ICE today for comment and did not hear back. So it could be we don't know which side is refusing to work with the other. But I do want to move on just to get your opinion here with regard to the two Republican senators, Lisa Murkowski and Tom Tillis, who both said that Kristi Noem should be out of a job. Do you agree?
See, there again, I don't know the facts. I think Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, should appear before Congress and answer questions. That is the role of Congress, to engage in oversight. Let members on both sides of the aisle ask every single question we can think of to get to the bottom of this. That should be done as we do almost over every agency. And it sounds like the good news here is that the president has been talking to the governor and to the mayor, and we are going in a much better direction following the weekend. And that was welcome news to everybody in America. That should be uniting us. And I was very pleased to see his leadership yesterday on that front.
You've said that we should all want peace to win over chaos. When you look at that video, how did with the federal agents, how their reaction, how did that make you feel when you saw it, especially when Kristi Noem had come out and said that they were saying, oh, that he was brandishing a gun? Clearly, the video suggests otherwise.
You know, I don't want to see this on our streets. I don't want to see this happen. Now, the reality is, over the 250 years this country has been there, we have gone through periods of time like this. We have to take each day one at a time and do the best job we can to enforce the law. And we need the cooperation of states and cities. That's number one. Number two, I think that after this weekend, there's going to be an investigation. It is going to present findings, and then actions will or will not be taken based on what's there. We in Congress need to provide some oversight to make sure we're there. But let's not forget, there are a lot of Americans that don't get a lot of airtime on TV stations across this nation that want these laws enforced. They want these laws enforced. They do not want to see what happened in Minneapolis on Saturday happen, but they do want illegal immigrants to be removed from this country. And that is part of what is the overriding principle that brings us even to this point. So hopefully we can continue the focus on deporting illegal immigrants in the United States.
I would agree with you. A lot of people do want that when they're criminal, right? And it seems that the 73% I recently read of the people who've been detained do not have any kind of record. They don't have any kind of criminal or violent past. But moving forward, just today, the president said, you can't have guns. You can't walk in with guns. As you know, Preddy had a permit to carry in a state of Minnesota where it's legal to do so. The gun owners of America today said you absolutely may walk around with guns and you absolutely may peacefully protest while armed. Is the president wrong here?
Well, we have a First and a Second Amendment, and they're both very important to me and a lot of Americans. The fact that the victim in this case had a permit and he was carrying it lawfully based on the facts that I know right now. Obviously, that's something that has to be taken into consideration in this investigation. I wasn't there. I haven't seen every single video, and I don't know what the law enforcement officer was reacting to when he said there's a gun. Where was the gun? How was the gun being held? I don't know the answer to any of that. So I don't think anybody can draw any bright lines and say, you're right, you're wrong. I know that you can carry a firearm in this country legally under the Second Amendment, and you have the right to free speech and the right to protest. And I support both of those things. But it has to be done in a manner that protects public safety. And I'm not one to cast a shadow on this gentleman because I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't present.
Right. But you do, based on the Constitution, you do believe that he had a right to bring a gun to the protest, which the president is saying he did not.
I do. I mean, if you have a Second Amendment right, now there are certain places you cannot take a gun. Here he is on a public street. That's the way it looks to me. And so it wasn't like he was in a facility that can ban concealed guns. So, just got to take it one day at a time. Everybody wants to assign who did this or who did that, within minutes or hours or days after something that has happened. That's the beautiful thing here. We have an investigation. It's going to lead us to the facts, and the facts will determine the next steps.
So appreciate the conversation, Representative Flood. Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
You too.